You do not change the outcome of an invasion with a handful of men. That is the rule. Every general believes it. Every staff officer plans around it. Wars are won by divisions, by fleets, by tens of thousands of soldiers moving in coordinated waves. Not by a few dozen men in the dark. By 1944, Germany believes this rule is ironclad. The Atlantic Wall stretches for thousands of miles. Concrete bunkers, minefields, artillery batteries, and armored reserves guard every likely landing zone. Even if the Allies land, German planners assume the real battle will be decided inland, by counterattacks, by bridges held, by roads denied. Especially bridges. In Normandy, east of the Orne River, 2 bridges sit quietly over narrow waterways. One crosses the Orne Canal. The other crosses the River Orne itself. They are not large. They are not famous. They are barely marked on most maps. But every German officer in the region understands one thing. If those bridges fall intact into Allied hands, German armor cannot reach the invasion beaches from the east. And if German armor cannot move, the invasion survives. So the rule becomes even more rigid. You do not seize critical bridges intact. You destroy them or you lose them. You do not take them by surprise. You defend them with sentries, machine guns, and demolition charges. And you absolutely do not lose them to a small airborne force landing in the dark. But in 1944, one man decides the rule is wrong. And in a window of 10 minutes, before dawn, before reinforcements, before anyone fully understands what is happening, Major John Howard and his men change the course of D-Day. John Howard is 31 years old. He is not flashy. He is not loud. He does not look like the kind of man who bends history. He is methodical, precise, calm to the point of being unsettling. Before the war, he works as a civil servant. He is married. He is not born into the military elite. But when war comes, Howard volunteers. And he studies. He studies terrain. He studies timing. He studies failure. By 1944, Howard commands D Company, 2nd Battalion, Oxfordshire and Buckinghamshire Light Infantry, the Ox and Bucks. They are infantry, but they are trained for something more dangerous. Glider assault. Gliders are silent. They have no engines. Once released from their towing aircraft, they are committed. No second pass. No abort. No go around. You land where you land. And Howard's men train obsessively for one mission: seize the 2 bridges east of the Orne River intact. The stakes are absolute. If the bridges are destroyed, British forces landing on Sword Beach will be exposed to armored counterattack. Panzer divisions will roll in from the east and crush the beachhead before it can expand. If the bridges are captured, but not held, German reinforcements will retake them within hours. The mission is brutally simple. Land directly on top of the bridges. Neutralize the defenders. Prevent demolition. Hold until relieved. The margin for error is measured in seconds. Howard drills his men relentlessly. Full-scale rehearsals. Live ammunition. Exact replicas of the bridges built from tape and chalk. Every man memorizes his path, his target, his timing. They practice at night, in silence, over and over. Howard tells them something that sticks. You will be tired. You will be afraid. But you will not hesitate. The plan calls for 6 Horsa gliders. Each carries around 30 men. No heavy armor. Limited ammunition. No artillery. Total force, roughly 180 men. They will land at night, minutes before the main invasion begins. If they fail, no one can fix it. By the evening of June 5, 1944, Howard knows there will be no second chance. The gliders are loaded. The men board in silence. Some carry photos in their pockets. Others write quick notes they may never send. Howard walks among them. He checks straps. He meets eyes. He says little. At 11:07 p.m., the gliders lift off. They are heading straight into history. The engines drone over southern England as the tug aircraft climb. Inside the gliders, it is dark, cold, loud in a hollow wooden way. Men sit shoulder to shoulder, weapons clutched, knees touching. There is no view, no sense of speed, only time. Howard checks his watch. They are on schedule. At 12:16 a.m. over the French coast, the tow ropes release. Suddenly, silence. The gliders drop. You feel the descent in your stomach. No engine noise. Only wind. Canvas creaking. A quiet that feels wrong in wartime. Howard's glider banks. The pilot fights to align with the landing zone, a narrow strip of ground barely long enough to stop. The ground rushes up. The glider slams into Normandy soil at nearly 100 miles per hour. With splinters. Men are thrown forward. One glider skids to a stop just yards from the canal bridge. Another crashes through hedges. Another stops so hard men are knocked unconscious. But they are there. 0:16 hours. June 6, 1944. Howard is out of the glider in seconds. He shouts commands. Go, go, go. Lieutenant Den Brotheridge sprints toward the canal bridge, leading the first platoon. German sentries are still reacting, confused, half awake, unsure what they are seeing. A British glider has landed beside their bridge. Machine gun fire erupts. Brotheridge is hit. He falls. He becomes the first Allied soldier killed on D-Day. But the men do not stop. They rush the bridge. Grenades explode. Gunfire echoes off concrete and water. Engineers sprint for the demolition charges. They cut wires. Rip fuses. Throw charges into the canal. Seconds matter. Howard crosses the bridge himself, firing as he moves. Within 10 minutes, the canal bridge is secured. Intact. The second bridge, the river bridge, falls just as quickly. German defenders are killed, captured, or flee into the darkness. Howard establishes a perimeter. 0:26 hours. 2 bridges. Captured. Undamaged. Germany has lost its eastern gate into the invasion area, and most German commanders do not even know it yet. But holding is harder than taking. Howard's men dig in. They are outnumbered. Isolated. Low on heavy weapons. At 1:30 German patrols probe the perimeter. At 2 o'clock, armored vehicles approach. One German officer arrives and demands surrender. Howard refuses. The Germans attempt to rush the bridge. They are repelled. At 3 o'clock, a German tank advances down the road. A single PIAT anti-tank weapon fires. The round hits. The tank stops burning just yards from the bridge. Dawn approaches. At 4:30 German attacks intensify. Howard's men are exhausted. Ammunition runs low. Casualties mount. Still they hold. At approximately 7 o'clock, after hours that feel like days, British paratroopers from the 7th Parachute Battalion arrive. Relief. The bridges remain Allied. And now the invasion can breathe. Mid-roll seat. If you find this kind of forgotten military history as fascinating as we do, we'd be honored if you'd hit that subscribe button. We believe these stories of courage, sacrifice, and impossible odds deserve to be told. And by subscribing, you help us ensure they aren't forgotten. What Germany does not understand, at least not immediately, is what those 10 minutes have cost them. German armored divisions east of the Orne are stalled. Orders conflict. Bridges they expect to control are suddenly hostile. Panzer units hesitate. By the time German high command grasps the situation, Allied forces from Sword Beach are pushing inland. Artillery is coming ashore. Tanks are arriving. The window for a decisive counterattack closes. Field Marshal Rommel later admits that the failure to crush the eastern flank on D-Day is catastrophic. The bridges, later renamed Pegasus Bridge, become symbols of what went wrong. A small force. Perfect timing. Ruthless preparation. One company changes the operational geometry of the invasion. The Allies gain momentum. Normandy holds. France begins to fall. And the Third Reich begins its irreversible retreat. John Howard survives the war. He never seeks fame. He never exaggerates. He always credits his men. Many of them are barely in their 20s. Some never make it home. Lieutenant Den Brotheridge is buried nearby, remembered as the first Allied casualty of D-Day. Pegasus Bridge still stands. To this day, visitors walk across it without realizing how close history came to turning the other way, how silence, speed, and discipline in the dark shaped the fate of millions. If this story moved you, please hit that like button. Every click tells the algorithm this piece of history is worth remembering. We're dedicated to rescuing these forgotten stories from the archives. If you want to join us on this mission, please subscribe and turn on notifications. Where are you watching from? Drop a comment with your city or state and tell us if someone in your family served. Thank you for ensuring that Major John Howard and the 180 men of D Company do not disappear into silence. They deserve to be remembered.